Tonight, a Target 12 investigators exclusive, Fox in prison. We tracked down a former inmate from the federal prison where Gordon Fox is serving time to find out what life is like on the inside for the once powerful House Speaker.
There are no bars, there's no cells, there's no barbed wire, there's no guns, there's no locks. It's very much a camp.
Fox has served roughly half of his 36-month sentence for public corruption, but records show he's set to be released from federal prison sooner than you might think. Target 12 investigator Tim White is here now with the exclusive details.
It's clear from our interview with the man who served time with Gordon Fox, the two didn't get into details about what Fox did to land him in prison, but his fellow inmate knew at one time Fox was one of the most powerful politicians in Rhode Island. 276 miles from the Rhode Island State House, isolated in the Pennsylvania countryside, is Canaan Federal Prison, currently home to former House Speaker Gordon Fox.
It's tough.
After a stunning fall from grace, Fox walked through the front doors of Canaan on July 7, 2015, the beginning of a 3-year sentence after he admitted to accepting a bribe and looting his own campaign account for personal gain.
We spent a lot of time together. We hung out, we talked, got to know him.
Former inmate Stanley Cohen says because it was summer, Fox could deal with the stress of adapting to prison life in his own way.
So he was able to walk, and Gordon walked and walked 3 separate times a day. Gordon would get up and walk.
Target 12 interviewed Cohen at his upstate New York home. He was an inmate with Fox until Cohen was released in December 2015.
You know, there's this track that people walk around to vent, to cry, to be alone, to have some privacy. And Gordon from day one insisted in walking in the wrong direction. From day one. Everyone went counterclockwise and he went clockwise.
Cohen is a national name, a New York attorney who represented controversial clients. He was sentenced to 11 months after pleading guilty to a charge of impeding the IRS.
It is a useless, mindless depository.
He says the facility Fox is serving his sentence is not a traditional prison. The warehouse-like building is a minimum security camp that sits in the shadow of a high-security prison. The Bureau of Prisons denied Target 12's request to tour the inside of the facility.
It had 120 or 30 people in a place that typically should only have 40 or 50 people. There were rows of double metal bunk beds. There's no security. It's not a secure facility. The bottom line is you're stupid if you walk away because you're turning a camp into a movement into a low or medium security facility.
And Cohen confirmed Canaan is no federal hill.
And the food is horrible. It's heavy starch, heavy fats, lots of salt. Spiced up to make it palatable.
If Fox behaves, he can shave 13% off his 3-year sentence. A spokesperson for the Bureau of Prisons tells Target 12 that means Fox will be released from prison on February 14, 2018. But Fox may be eligible for release to a halfway house before that, usually 6 months prior to the end of a sentence.
Gordon was a prolific reader.
Cohen says Fox, who was disbarred, has been keeping himself busy on the inside, including taking legal courses.
Gordon would always be seen with a book in his hand, always, always. He would come to my class with 6 books, and they had nothing to do with the class that I was teaching.
Cohen says he's not sure why Fox walked in the opposite direction on the track, guessing it was so he could walk alone, but he says Fox has opened up about his sentence.
Gordon felt remorse. He felt remorse that he had let the people of Rhode Island down, that he had let his family down. Most important, I think that he had let himself down, because ultimately that's something that we all have to come to grips with when you end up in that facility.
The Federal Bureau of Prisons would not confirm any aspect of Fox's inmate life. New at 6 o'clock, Gordon Fox worked jobs on the inside, what he did, and how much he was paid. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.
Tonight, a Target 12 investigators exclusive, Fox in prison. We tracked down a former inmate from the federal prison where Gordon Fox is serving time to find out what life is like on the inside for the former House Speaker.
Now, I don't know exactly what Gordon did or did not do, but I know damn sure, having spent some period of time with Gordon, He's not a threat to the community. He's paid a terrible price.
New at 6, once the most powerful politician in the state, Gordon Fox's reality and work is now far more humble inside a prison camp in rural Pennsylvania. Target 12 investigator Tim White is here now with the exclusive details.
Whatever Gordon Fox charged as an hourly rate when he was an attorney, it was most certainly higher than what he gets paid now. Despite what many picture, orange is not the new dress code for former House Speaker Gordon Fox.
Color orange doesn't apply except if you're in serious prisons. When you're working, you have to wear greens. When you're not working, you can wear sweatpants, sweatshirts, sneakers, work boots, T-shirts.
Stanley Cohen served time with Fox at Canaan Federal Prison in Waymart, Pennsylvania. An attorney by trade like Fox, Cohen says the pay for prison jobs is a world away from the law profession.
But in general, it's about 12 cents an hour and 14 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week of working in mindless jobs.
Fox and Cohen were housed at the minimum security camp at Canaan, nearby a high-security prison with some of the country's most dangerous convicts.
Whenever there are lockdowns, which are fairly often, inmates, for lack of a better word, or prisoners down at the camp are shipped up there to work for 12 cents an hour in the middle of the night, boxing lunches, bagging lunches, and cleaning floors for the maximum security prison.
Cohen says Fox was initially given a job in the offices of high security. The Federal Bureau of Prisons would not confirm any aspect of Fox's inmate life and denied our request to tour Canaan.
He was working in the suite of offices that the warden has and the deputy warden has, cleaning up and mopping and taking care of things.
He says he and Fox talked a lot, and Fox took some law classes Cohen taught, including constitutional law. In that time, Cohen says he got to know Fox, who he says expressed remorse for his crimes.
Gordon has been punished. Gordon was disbarred. He lost his livelihood. He's been embarrassed. His family's been embarrassed. He will never again be looked at in the same way, and he's a good guy.
In the wake of the stunning bribery and fraud case that brought him down, Fox is now disbarred. Cohen says Fox didn't discuss his plans for when he's released.
And I think if the people of Rhode Island can open their arms and be mature and adult and sophisticated and understand that people who live in glass houses should not be tossing rocks around, they'll welcome them back.
As we reported, if Fox is a model inmate, he will be released early, 1 year from this month. But he may walk out of Canaan sooner. Fox could be transferred to a halfway house or even home confinement. That generally happens about 6 months from the end of a prisoner's sentence. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.